After September Storm, your career took another turn. Can you talk
Well, I went, I came back here and picture was opening up and I was hot, getting some publicity, you know what I mean? And then they were sending me out on interviews, one for a cowboy, riding horses. In fact, Aaron Spelling, producer in those days, was shooting in Western. And the girl goes back and says, Aaron, you got to see him. Come on out. You ride horses? I said, sure I do. Never been on a horse in my life. So that next day he says, okay, you're gonna be in a pilot. I'm calling it Ringo. It was Ringo, Johnny Ringo or something like one of those names. And so immediately I go up to Griffith Park on the horses. They used to have those little horses to learn how to horseback ride. Anyway, it was pretty difficult, that part. I'm not a Western type of guy. I'm from New York, and that's all I wanted to do.
And you also told me about a pilot you did with
I did, yeah. We did. I was called down to Ziv Television for another interview. There were 500 guys trying out for the part. It was going to be a pilot for Some Like It Hot. I was playing Tony Curtis's part, and Marty Engels, another actor, was playing Jack Lemmon's part. And so we got dressed as the movie, you know what the movie was, where these two guys run away from the mob, and they're dressed as girls. They join a girl band, and here I am with a blonde wig, playing a saxophone, Marty Engels, and that's the little part of the pilot that we did. And so when they tried to sell it to like a Kellogg's and this, and they thought the producers, are you crazy? Two gay guys up, not gay guys, but dressed in drag? It was never done before. This is 1960, 61, 59, I don't even remember. And so I ended up signing with Ziv. They wanted to keep me under contract, paying me weekly. I said, why not? And they were waiting for a special kind of project. But I knew the president, I got to know, and I used to call him. I said, Herb Gordon was his name. You remember some things, and I'm Herb, you got to put me to work. It's just awful. What do you mean? I said, I'm becoming a real degenerate here. I've got my house with a pool, and everybody's coming to my house. And, because they were paying me each week. I had money in those days. And I don't know half the people that are coming up there, swimming and this. Girls, guys used to go, let's go to Asher's house and swim at the pool. And so I did a couple of little shows. I forgot, Highway Patrol or something, or SeaWorld with Lloyd Bridges played in one of them. They had a lot of series going at that time. But then I left there, went to Universal, MCA and Universal connected, so they signed me to a picture deal. Never worked there either. Finally, when a pilot was gone, they put me on that for a few weeks, but it was a dead pilot, you know what I mean? Just finishing the commitment, whether it was 13 shows or what. Anyway, that was it, and finally I was going nowhere, I see, so I went in the real estate business. And that's what I've been doing.
Now, I understand for a little while, you actually went into band management.
Oh, yeah, I got tired of real estate. I like to do things, you know what I mean? When you get caught in, I call it a rut. I get in a rut, just doing the same thing day in and day out, drive me crazy. A friend of mine came out from New York, and he was in the business. He was in the management business. At that time, he was handling Laney Kazan, and he did handle Dion and the Belmonts, who were quite big. And we got in the business, and about 2 months after we were in business, I meet a friend of mine, an agent. He says, hey, you're going into management business. I said, yeah, well, there's a band. A friend of mine has his son. He's in a band, I don't know, called The Doors. I said, I don't know either, but they're playing at Gazzari's. Why don't you go in, introduce yourself? The lead singer's gave me his name, Jim Morrison. I go in, and they're singing on the stage, and they're right after, and they were good. That's all I know because I love music, so they were good. I go over to Jim, I said, I introduced myself, and I heard you're looking for representation. And he says, what are you doing later? I said, what do you got in mind? He said, well, we're playing at this club, the Hullabaloo, on Sunset Boulevard at 4 o'clock in the morning. I said, 4, I rolled my eyes around 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, these guys were up all night. But I go down there, and there must have been 1,000 kids there. They went crazy over Jim Morrison. Well, everybody did. He was great. So I said, I just loved him, and we had a meeting with him. And then I went to see their attorney, who I ended up knowing also. I knew Robbie Krieger's father. I played golf with him at Riviera. And so they felt a little comfortable that I knew the attorney, you know what I mean? And they got my reputation was pretty good, you know what I mean? Like I was in business, this. And so I became their manager and left the real estate business for a few years.
You told me a story about a radio DJ who had contacted you about a door song.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Did I remember all this at that? I forgot it by now.
It was very,
yeah, well,
story.
Humble Harv, that was his name, a big DJ out in L.A. He calls me one night and he says, Ash, you got to see this. I mean, these kids are going, I'm here at my house, we're all getting stoned, this, and light my fire. I said, yeah, what about it? He says, they're going crazy over that song. And he says, can you call Holtzman, Jack Holtzman, the owner of Elektra Records, and see if I can flip the side and use that one instead. There's the A side. Backdoor Man was the A side on. So I said, oh, I'll give him a call tomorrow. I called Jack, and he says, no, Ash, I'm keeping what I want. You know, Backdoor Man's #1, and I'll be #2. So I said, this is a big disc jockey. He says, this is the way I want it. I said, well, you're the boss. So I called Humble Harv. He said, what do you say, Ash? Release it. Just that, you know, he said to release it. He says, oh, great. He releases the record, and it's blasting all day on the radio. And the next morning I go to the office. It's about 4 phones there, you know, a couple of, and the phone's ringing off the hook. This, colleges, high schools, this. They want to book the doors to perform. And overnight, that was it.
Wow.
Just unbelievable. Yeah, and we just took off, and that was, we had a nice long run, you know. But Jim had his problems, you know, as everybody knows. But I was there. We had a great time together, Jim and I.